we're not live. My internet's being weird today, so I'm just doing this recorded, and I'm going to edit it in just a little bit. So welcome everyone to episode 7 of Passion Project Management. We got a couple things going on that I'd like to announce, and I want to show you something that I made today. It's the first version of a little infographic chart thing called the Live Music Spectrum. So let's just jump right in to that, and then I'm going to make a cool announcement. All right. So, the live music spectrum. I've been thinking for a long time how live is a recording, right? And I decided to put it onto a chart. So this took a little bit to develop, and it's just the first version. There's a little bit more tightening up that I want to do. But let's go through it, and I'd love to see what you think about it. And I would love to add to it, right? It's try to be as simple as possible right now, but then hopefully we can make it more detailed as time goes on and as we do subsequent versions. So the live music spectrum across the production and post-production process. The live music spectrum represents the range of approach to the recording process. Left is real-time and natural, and right is more controlled and processed. I noticed that there's a wide range in the production process, and I identified parts to it. So here on the left, we have a 1-to-1 ratio of musician to instrumentation. That's as live as it can get. We have people playing instruments, and they're recorded whether it's a channel or a part. It's 1-to-1. Then if we start to work our way over to the right, we have isolated tracking. This is how a lot of recording sessions go, where maybe they'll lay down the drums first, followed by the bass or the guitar to get the melody, and then they'll keep adding harmony parts. Now, a lot of harmony parts can occur during the overdub phase as well. So that's kind of like getting it recorded, right? This is like, all right, 3, 2, 1, go, getting it recorded. And then as we get into the middle, it's what we can do with those recordings. And then as we get over to the right, it continues to get more and more controlled and shaping the sound and processing it. So right in the middle, we have live and post-production sound shaping. So this is the meat and potatoes of making everything sound better. I'm going to do this to this audio once I'm done, because I have the advantage of being able to go back and post and tighten up the EQ and the compression on my voice a little bit. But yeah, it's EQ, compression, reverbs, delays, and all the other audio effects that it could happen. I already talked to some of my friends, and we might be able to get this to be just called live post-production audio effects, because that's really what it is, but it's shaping the sound, and so that's what I put down for this first one. Okay, continuing right, then we have drum and sample replacement. What that is when it's a process when you'll record drums or a certain part. It could be live, could be isolated, could even be an overdub. But then you replace the triggers, the impulses, with samples. And a lot of times the samples will, say your kick drum could be beefier. And so it applies the sample on top of where the person recorded, but it's a sample instead of the actual audio. Continuing our march towards perfection, we have quantization, which basically is retiming notes to make them perfectly in time. Live music will have an ebb and a flow of being in time, and quantization snaps the audio to a grid and will make it perfect. And then finally, we have digital audio pitch correction, otherwise known as auto-tune. I feel that auto-tune is the farthest thing you can get from being very live. So why I did this was to kind of show where I want to work And I think it's basically to the middle and the left. I want to live in the 1-to-1 ratio, maybe a little bit of tracking and overdubs, and then definitely shape the sounds. Don't really want to get into this area. And why that's important to me is because my biggest influences have proved that you can make great music and have it be live, free of overdubs, minimal processing. I also thought that it's interesting how this live to not that live also mirrors the development of recording technology, simply because you couldn't do this stuff in the early days. Literally, the first recording era was called the acoustic era, and it was when the sound waves were still contained in acoustic mediums, phonographic recording methodology. Wasn't even electric yet. It was just amplified using bells and things like that. Then we have the electric era in the early 20th century. Then the magnetic era was when they recorded things to tape. And now we're in the digital era where it gets recorded, gets converted, an A to D conversion, analog to digital, and then it gets worked with, and then you can finish it, and then basically every digital music player has a D to A, digital back to analog, where then it comes out your speakers. So this is a little live music spectrum chart that I created just for fun and to kind of show where I want to live. And what a better time to make an announcement than after seeing this. I am starting a band. I am going to begin the recruiting process for band members next week. So I'm going to chronicle the process on this on my stream. Basically, Joseph Stuff and Things is going to be the back end of all the projects that I'm working on, and then all the projects that do come out will have their own front end and their own marketing and distribution plans, etc. But I think it would be cool to just keep y'all in the loop and walk through, week by week, how I'm working on doing my projects. So basically what I've done is I've created a large database of people that I know, and I'm going to reach out to them personally and find out if they know people that may be interested in joining a band or even just a session. And I want to spread past my inner circle and get out into the Bay Area and find people that are playing music. And so this initial push is going to be a big push to find the people that know people. So I built out part of my website to kind of explain a bunch of this as people start getting exposed to my requests. So I detailed a bunch of context about background, about where I'm at, what the band's going to sound like, what's it going to be made up of, and what's my ideology behind it and my strategy. So I've detailed what I'm looking for in the musicians. I've detailed what the band members can expect of me. I've detailed what I expect of the band members and a little bit of the outlook. I want to show people the work that I've done. So I created a quick 2-minute sample of all the stuff that I produced last year. And then we have some audition information and the demos and the score that I read out for the first single that I want to do. And then I have a little bit more information from my recent releases. So the audition is I was figuring, okay, I got everything lined up. Might as well do a kind of official process, especially if I'm going to be fielding potentially tens and tens and tens of people. I want to give everyone a fair shot and learn as much as I can about each person to kind of design a group that hits all of my goals. So again, we have some requirements, right? I was thinking about this is, potentially a job. So there's some requirements of what I need people to do. And then I wanted to illuminate them on the process of these auditions, and then the next steps. So what I did is I took just one of my songs. It's called Cheesecake, and I wrote it a couple months ago, and I expanded it for a few parts. And so then there's a live demo that I recorded, and then I have the MIDI MuseScore file that has more parts. So these are available for listening and download for the people. And then I got the full score. Really excited about this because I just learned how to read bass clef and grand staff and write music out. And so there's a point of pride that I have in the band leader that I am going to become. And so we got a little delay here, but I'm very, very excited for this band. It hopes to be a completely local band made up of all sorts of people from the area, reflecting all sorts of the diversity of the Bay Area and America at large, both in sound and culture. And I am very, very excited to see where it can go. So that is what my next months are going to be like on that. Oh, yeah, here we go. So this is, I've written out all the parts for everyone, and I hope, people can get down with what I've done. So I will leave you with that. That is what I've been working on this week, and hope to go live next week with all that. And I think I'm going to continue breaking apart that process and filling everyone in on it. And hopefully we can continue generating more questions, which can turn into answers in the form of more episodes. I'm hoping to do this once or twice a week as I can. And hopefully it'll be live next time. Okay, as always, it's super cool if you can, if you're interested in being on an email list, you can go to josephsstuff.com and you can sign up there. And that is how I intend on building out my community. And that would be the direct communication besides videos like this. All right, have a great weekend coming up, as I will, and I'll see you next week.